Welcome to the True Elegance podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bumia Kikube, also known as Dr. B. Through solo episodes and guest sessions, we delve into the timeless qualities of style, grace, and sophistication, and uncover what makes you truly elegant. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started on this empowering journey of becoming truly elegant. Hello, Elegant Tribe, and welcome to another episode of the True Elegance podcast, where we go beyond the glam and the glitz, and we talk about the inner values that make us beautiful from the inside out, so that we can continue to radiate elegant confidence. Today, I have with me an amazing woman who is the CEO and lead life coach of the Live Joy Life, an organization that empowers women through community, mindset, and live joy principles to banish the busy and live the something bigger life that God has created for us. Please welcome with me, Sonya Mack. Welcome, Sonya.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you. This is from the moment I listened to the first True Elegance podcast. I was, like I said earlier in our pre-chat, I was hooked. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Beautiful. And I'm spying something behind you that says, "Today I choose joy." I believe that
Yes.
is one of the themes of everything you do. Do you want to share a little bit about that with us?
Yes, absolutely. So my mom named me Sonya Joy Mack, and she told me when I was little, ever since I was little, that I was meant to spread joy to the world. So of course, when I was little, I thought, well, that's silly, right? And then, after my mom passed in 2010, I really kind of took that to heart, and I'm like, okay, how can I take this very painful situation and turn it into something that is joyful for other people? And so one of the hallmark principles of the Live Joy Life and what the whole foundation of it was built off of is this whole principle of choice, which is kind of a tricky word sometimes because we don't always have a choice of what happens to us, but there's little choices we get to make even in kind of the worst of times that can really change and alter the course of what happens. So yeah, joy, joy is that inner happiness, that inner peace that comes from God, but it's something I think we all strive for.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it
Oh,
already.
thank
And
you.
what a beautiful way to keep carrying on the legacy of your mom.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I just want you to talk a little bit more about has there been a transformative journey that made you who you are today and is inspiring you to do what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Gosh, I love that question so much. So back when my mom was ill, so she was diagnosed with ALS or Lou Gehrig's in 2005. And I remember sitting up in my bedroom window, staring out the window, and I got this inner feeling, not an audible, but this inner word, something bigger, something different. And didn't have any idea what that meant. But as time would go on and, going through my mom's illness and then also, after she passed, I realized that what God was telling me was that the pain that we feel, the difficult parts of life, and multiple difficulties since then, even that she's passed, it's really just there for us also to become that something bigger, that purpose that God created us for. And I think that's something that, is just such a powerful principle for everyone, for to be able to find in the darkest or the deepest parts of your hurt and be able to see something potentially that could, help another person or change another life or change your own life.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the time when I realized, okay, that there's a bigger purpose here. Not that I'm a bigger purpose, but that God has a bigger purpose for me and my story and our story. And that the only way that's going to help as many people as possible is if I go out and share it.
Wow. And how was that, stepping out for the first time? What helped and how did you keep
Yeah.
going?
Scary as heck, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy for us to feel small. The enemy likes to attack us and tell us that we're not good enough, or we don't have, we're not brave enough, we're not smart enough, we don't look right. So really the only way to get over those fears and just really start stepping into that purpose that God has created you for is just to take imperfect action and be okay with that, and give yourself the grace that you would give your best friend, right?
Right.
One of my own best friends and I were just having a conversation the other day about how we hold ourselves to different standards than we hold our best friends, and so I think oftentimes it keeps us small when God is actually asking us to step out and to be
Yeah.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do bigger and be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Wow, that's so beautiful. So, that led you to your journey, and I know you're medical practitioner and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes also knowing like, complications that could arise, genetics things, and then all those things could
Mm-hmm.
keep pouring in your mind. But
Not easy, right? I mean, you would
right.
admit that too, right? In your
Uh-huh.
own, I'm sure in your own path, you've found that the enemy tries to keep you small, but
Mm-hmm.
you just have to keep stepping out there in faith
Yeah.
in God and faith in yourself that you can
Mm-hmm.
do it and that it won't kill you.
Right,
You
right.
know? Yeah.
Yes. So we have some of our audience that are going through grief at this time. What will be your advice for them?
Yeah. So grief comes in a lot of different forms, right? There's grief over losing someone you love. There's also grief over it's the loss of an expectation that we had for the future. So we expected our parent to be around for a long time, or we expected to have children, or we expected to have this certain job, or we didn't expect to be divorced. We expected to be married for a long time. So it's this loss of an expectation we had for the future. And I think where the grief, where the moving forward or the helping with that comes in is, how can I take this really painful situation or this craziness that's going on in my life, and how can I turn it into something good? How can I turn it into something that will help someone else? How can I turn it into something that's going to glorify God? Right? Those are kinds of the questions that, because there's something about being able to get out there and help someone else in your grief that kind of makes you feel more like you're moving forward. It kind of helps ease the pain a little. I know I work with a lot of busy professional moms,
Mhm.
and that's a lot of the people that I coach. And
Okay.
we have so much mental clutter going on because we're
Right.
dealing with so many things like grief. And so, yeah, it's just being able to find that way that we can move forward and help other people with it really helps a lot.
Wow. Got it. Oh, thanks for sharing that. And what a
I know it's a
what
lot,
a
right?
calm way to start it off. And just, reflect on what is really important in life after all. Talking about the work you're doing with busy moms, which we have many of them on this
Sure.
on this
Yes.
as part of our audience as well. I believe that's what led to like the unique coaching practice that you have.
Um, so it's funny that a lot of people who coach often end up coaching someone who was like them not very long ago, right?
Right,
Um,
right.
and so what I found over time, the Live Joy Life came about just real quickly so that they can kind of understand. As I was in that grief process and trying to figure out what to do next, where to go next, I can only call it a download from God. I just kept asking, how do I find my joy? How do I find my joy when my heart hurts so much? And over time, he just gave me these like 12 principles faith, hope, love, inspiration, laughter, generosity, gratitude, all biblical things. But then I asked, well, what do I do with these now? And so that would take quite a process before I would figure all that out. And what it shaped into is what I kind of, I call it the ACE framework, or the ACE method. And what that stands for is assess, contemplate, and execute. And how I tell my coaching clients is basically this: it's the difference between before, the Live Joy Life and the ACE framework, and after is, if you ever gone, I always ask them, have you ever gone to the grocery store and you don't have a meal plan, you don't have a list, you need some stuff, but you're not really sure what, and you're there and you're hectic, and you're like, oh, I might grab some bread or milk because I feel like maybe I need those things. And you get home and then you're frustrated because you still don't even know what to make for supper, and you just spent $100 on groceries. Versus if you are prepared and you've taken the time to put everything together and plan for it. And, we can't plan for everything, but we can prepare ourselves sometimes. You go with a list. It's so much easier. You know your meal plan, your list, you get your groceries, you go home. It's the same thing for busy moms, especially busy working moms. Before the ACE framework, a lot of times our minds are just filled with, what am I going to do for supper? What am I? My kid has an appointment. I have this dream in my pocket. I don't know what the heck to do with it. How do I pull that out? I already work a day job. What do I do with this feeling like I'm supposed to write a book or do a podcast? And what the ACE framework does is it really takes all of that mental busy clutter. And the assessment part is just getting it all out, writing it all down. The contemplate is taking it before God, specifically with yourself and these 12 Live Joy Life principles. And that's the part that I really help coach on. And we say, okay, in this area of your life, what's really the thing that's missing? Are you missing the generosity portion? Are you missing the faith portion? Are you missing the gratitude portion? And that's where we get our execute part, because after we come to God, the Holy Spirit really, it's just so amazing to watch the women as they're doing this. And they're like, oh, this word is jumping off the page to me. And I'm like, oh, this is the Holy Spirit. Wow. And then we come up with a plan. Okay, the Holy Spirit told you faith. So maybe you're dealing with a difficult coworker, and, the Holy Spirit kind of brings up faith, or love. Love is a good one, because usually difficult coworker, right? Love, gratitude, and forgiveness. That's one that a coach or a client and I had come up when she was going through it. And we said, okay, so how can you implement love, gratitude, and forgiveness with this person when you go to work, so that your interaction with them is not constantly stressed, but that you can also be the best person that you can be in that situation. Wow. So that's kind of the long, short version of what I do with the Live Joy Life and the coaching, which again, that whole framework, I can only claim God as a download, just a gift to me, I guess, when I was in the grief of my mom passing. But it's really just been transformational for me and for others. I use it myself. Mm-hmm. And when I don't use it, I get the same mental clutter, anxiety feeling that some of my coaching clients do. And then I have to remind myself, okay, Sonya, let's go back to what we know works. Wow. So we have to practice what we preach, right?
Definitely.
Yes.
Wow, that's so beautiful. ACE. So assess, contemplate, and execute. Help us to be able to radiate the joy that we're looking for in every aspect.
And the elegance.
And the elegance.
Yeah. I kind of put, like, the way that I feel about radiating joy is, I'm sure, how you feel about radiating that true elegance. And that's why I love that they coincide so much. Wow. But yeah, that true elegance is exactly living who God created you to be in the best form of it, the most elegant form of it.
Wow.
That's when you know you're living, right?
That is so beautiful. It just gives me goosebumps again thinking about it, because that's just what it is. God has made each and every one of us unique. That's one message I always preach 1,000 times, mm-hmm. Not necessarily climbing on a stage to preach it, but anyone I can tell, I'm like, just know you're special, you're unique, you have a
Mm,
unique purpose that you were created on earth for. And the more
mhm,
you embrace it, the more God will reveal what He wants you to
mhm.
do, send you the help you
Yeah.
need to get it done, and continue to encourage you along the path.
Mm,
Because, like you said, there are times when we'll be disappointed, we'll be frustrated, we'll question, like, is this thing real? Am I really
mm,
doing what it is? But he'll come back to us again, remind us, convince us of who he has made us to be, and send us help
mhm.
to keep walking our
Yes.
path. Yes.
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 I love
So
that.
that to me is, yeah, true elegance, like you said, radiating joy, radiating true elegance. So thanks for sharing that. And
Oh yeah.
so that led you to write a book as well.
Yeah. So um, the book idea, just that was a Holy Spirit inspired idea. It was probably 8 or so years after so my mom passed when I was 29 and I hadn't had any kids yet, and a lot of major life experiences I still
Mm.
didn't have yet. And she was my best friend. So I was like,
Oh.
how do I do this without, like, how do I be a mom without a mom? And how do I, do all these things, which I think is a valid question that so many of us are left asking when we lose somebody we love.
Yes.
And my brother and I were having this conversation about how, when he's sad, he tries to remember like all the that we lived long enough to have all these beautiful memories of our mom that we can pass on to our kids. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. I was like, this changes everything. Don't you see it? And so I was like, well, I know everything about my mom. Like, we were so close. I can just rewrite my story. And so really the book came about in that way. It started as just me rewriting my story. What would life look like if mom were still around? And then as I was writing it, it became pretty obvious to me that I was getting these downloads again from God, that they were meant for people more than just me. And so I pursued publishing and got it published, and it came out in December, which actually was just last December, which would have been on like the 12-year anniversary of when she passed. So
Wow.
it was kind of a crazy thing like that. But yeah, so it's called This Changes Everything, when death no longer has the final say, because
Oh, wow.
it's meant to help people who have grieved the loss of someone they love realize that, death doesn't have the final say, because
Right.
we love these people so much. We have these powerful memories of them.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
so powerful. Yes. 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 I love that. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully we can link that in the
Yeah.
um summary of our show today, because I'm sure it
Yeah.
will bring joy to
Yeah.
someone that really does need
Yes.
it. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I think the thing I love the most about the book is my mom's personality really comes out, and she was quite funny.
Oh.
And that's the thing I've heard from people that have read it that didn't even know my mom, is that, they found themselves laughing on one page and
Oh.
crying on the next, but just in a
Wow.
good way. And so that's been really special to me, to know that the reason I wrote the books really helped, so many people are getting to know her. And then also it's just helping them see too that they can, a nice way to move on,
Yes.
and move forward.
Move
Move
forward.
forward. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. Still carrying those, cherishing those memories, of course, and the
Absolutely.
lessons you've
Absolutely.
learned from her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes.
And back to, busy moms, which you are as well. What tips do you give to busy moms to be able to balance, you know?
Yeah. So my number one is to give yourself permission to fail. Give yourself, which goes along with that, what we talked about earlier about giving yourself the grace that you would give a friend. So, I think sometimes we're so hard on ourselves if we're not doing all the things. We feel like we have to be everything to everybody, and we don't. You can't fill from an empty cup, right? If your cup
Right.
is empty, you can't fill anyone else's cup.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, which I think also is something that, we often don't do very well as moms, which is take care of ourselves, right? And recognize that that's not selfish. In fact, care of self, mentally, spiritually, and physically is one of the principles of the Live Joy Life, because it's so important. Don't be afraid to take imperfect action. If you feel a calling on your heart for that God's telling you to do something, don't be afraid to take imperfect action. The first time you try something, it's not going to be the way that you thought it might not go the way you thought it was going to be. You might fail, but on the opposite end of every failure is an equal chance to learn something. There's equal good in it too, if you can just look at it in the right way and frame it that way. And then investing in yourself, it kind of goes with that care of self, but investing in yourself, whether that means taking the time to find a coach or hire a coach, or taking the time to be more physically active, or whatever it is that you feel like might be missing in your life, but just being able to invest in yourself. I'm really lucky to have a very supportive husband who helps a lot, and he'll give me time, to do some of this stuff on the side.
Right.
And I know there's been times when I'm like, okay, honey, I need a little bit of money to do my next project.
Yep.
And he's, but you can't. I have found over and over again that it seemed like I just needed this one thing to break through. And I was always afraid to spend the money. And then as soon as I did, I was like, oh my gosh, the breakthrough happened. You end up getting it back 100-fold often. Right. It's just, again, the enemy tries to keep us small by putting those fears in our heads. So yeah, those are the three biggest things for me. Take imperfect action, give yourself permission to fail, and investing in yourself.
Wow. Those are beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, definitely investing in ourselves, because we keep growing, we keep getting wiser as the years roll by, and we don't know it all. So sometimes we need to learn something new, or have someone hold us accountable for the things we promised ourselves we'll do.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is
Or
where
ask for help.
yes, which is where the
Yeah.
coaching and the supportive husband and family and friends come in, to be able to keep us accountable.
Well, and all kinds of the elegance that we talked about earlier, that comes in the style, and, it's things that make you feel better. I had my colors done. Do you know what that is? Have you heard of having your colors done?
No.
I have never you haven't. Okay, this is a little sidetrack. I hope you don't mind. But you pay somebody and they put all these different colors up to you, and they tell you what season you are, like spring, summer, winter, fall. And I never in my life would have thought I would do that, but it actually it changed so much for me, because then when you put on the right colors, you just feel better. You feel more empowered. And it's something as simple as the clothes that you're wearing being the right color. But that's what I mean. It's a small, kind of silly example, but not really, in that
it's not silly.
Like, you know what I mean, though? I mean, the way that I grew up, never in my life would I have imagined that I would have spent, I think it was $200 or something on, finding my colors. But it's just been so amazing.
Yeah.
But, so I have a coach. I've did that, like coaches have coaches.
Yes.
Coaches have had counselors. I mean, but it's when you really invest in yourself, that's the way that you grow. That's the way that we grow and become that truly elegant, joyful person we want to be.
I love it. I love it. So you had your colors done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had that before, but not in that phrase. I just think of it as some form of personal branding and color fitting kind of thing. But yeah, that's interesting.
I know. So fun.
Yeah, and
Who
it's
knew?
very relevant. We're on the True Elegance show, so someone
Yeah.
might need to go get
Yes.
their colors done.
Yes. Okay. If you're having trouble with your wardrobe and you feel like whatever you put on is not the right color, go get your colors done.
Go get your colors
I highly
done.
recommend it. They tell you the lipsticks to wear. They tell you the blush to wear, what color jewelry you should wear.
Wow,
It's very, very
that's really
helpful.
nice. And just one more
Absolutely.
question relating to that. So, how do you take care of yourself? Like, what does self-care mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It first and foremost is my spiritual, which is my time with God. I call myself an introvert who likes people. So my time with God, my quiet time, being okay with asking for that too, if you're one of those people who needs that quiet time,
Okay.
scheduling it into your day.
Yes.
So that's a big thing. I do quiet spiritual God time every day. I practice. I don't know if you've ever heard of tapping, EFT tapping.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
a way to down regulate your nervous system to help with anxiety, and
Mhm.
it's very kind of like mindfulness and those
Right.
kinds of things. But
Mm.
really, it's the spiritual, the physical, the emotional. I actually have on my website. It's called the Care of Self checklist, and that's
Okay.
actually the checklist I use every day. So at the end of the day, I go through it. I don't always hit every bullet point every day, but I try to hit most of them because it reminds me that it kind of puts me and holds me accountable. Like, am I taking
Mhm.
my care of myself today? Or am I neglecting myself to take care of everyone else, which again then just depletes you. You can't be the best that you can be or fill from an empty cup, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, I use that checklist a lot just to make sure that I am taking care of myself spiritually, emotionally, and physically.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, right.
I love
Well,
it.
thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us today and for sharing
Yeah.
some of that joy.
Yes. Well, I
And
appreciate it. You
yeah.
made it very easy to share joy. So thank you.
Thank you. Reminding us to choose joy every day, every day. Yeah. All right. So thank you, Sonya. How can our audience stay connected with you? I know you had mentioned your website. Do you want to share that
Yeah.
as well?
Sure. Yeah. That's www dot, and then it's just my name, Sonya, Sonya, joy, Mack, Mack.com.
Okay. Beautiful. We'll be
Yeah.
sure to include that in our show notes.
Great. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah. It's been amazing having you today, and thank you for sharing your heart with us. And we hope to stay
Mhm.
connected with you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to be notified of every new episode. Leave a review and share this podcast with that elegant lady in your life. This is a space where we can come together to empower and inspire each other and live feeling elevated and enlightened. See you in the next episode.